Alright, what's good y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to the story mode. So, if you've been around for a minute now, you can probably tell that it's been a minute since I've said that exact sentence. I'm sure to nobody's surprise, I've been kinda quiet because there's really not much to talk about in the scope of Pokemon right now. Of course, there is the ongoing anime, and I did promise you guys that I was going to do a reaction series to that, so that's probably going to come sometime this week. That one's going to be definitely a little more free-flowing than the videos that you guys are used to, so bear with me on that. Hopefully you guys do enjoy it. But lately these days, I've just been kind of kicking back. My day job's been keeping me busy, and I am patiently awaiting Tears of the Kingdom, just like the rest of the world. However, recently I got a couple of sparks of inspiration. I decided, you know what, 2 weeks is a very long time to not do anything with the channel, so let's go ahead and just talk about whatever we want. So for anybody and everybody that's still around, thank you so much for waiting patiently. Now that I've kind of settled into a new routine, I can finally get back to working on videos in a pace that kind of works for me, you know? The Shink solo run project is still on. I'm definitely going to be doing the reaction series starting this week for the anime, and I asked you guys a couple of weeks ago if you guys would be interested in a retrospective series. Now personally, I feel like retrospectives on the mainline games for Pokemon are a little overdone and just kind of drawn out at this point, so I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to talk about one of the spin-off games. I asked you guys in a poll a couple of weeks ago at this point which game you guys would like to see a retrospective on. The Pokepark series, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky, or Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia. If it wasn't obvious, the clear winner of that poll was Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky, kind of by a landslide. So this is just to give you guys who've been waiting a general idea of what to expect in the next coming weeks. However though, please bear with me as I will be disgustingly distracted by The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. That is something I have been waiting on for way too long now. Along with everybody else. A lot of you guys I'm sure as well. So, you know, bear with me. Alright, that's enough rambling. It's time to get into the main meat of this video in particular. You guys know me and you know this channel by now. This channel is completely run on the idea of concepts. Story, mechanics, characters, gameplay elements, all of that. We just talk non-stop about possibilities. Now, we're gonna go off the beaten path a little bit and talk about a concept of a Pokemon game that I would absolutely kill for. A Pokemon Warriors game. Hi, excuse me, Mr. Soul, don't we already have Pokemon Conquest? Doesn't that count as a Warriors game? They are warriors in the game after all. Great question, friendo. No, that is not at all what I'm talking about. Now, I've never played Pokemon Conquest for myself, and I'm sure that it's a wonderful game. It is heavily based off of Fire Emblem after all, and I love Fire Emblem. As a series, one of my favorites, easily. However, we're talking about something different entirely. Let me explain. Now, over time, it's come to my attention that not exactly many people know what a Warriors game even is. The only reason I do is because I make sure to acknowledge genres of video games so that I know what to search for later when I'm in the mood for something new, but something familiar. And when I was younger, I wasn't even aware that Warriors games damn near classify as their own genre. I've loved games like that since I was a kid. I played One Piece Pirate Warriors well before I watched One Piece. Now, thankfully, Nintendo is already well aware and has fully utilized this concept about 4 times now. Which means I have at least a few familiar examples that I could show to you on the screen now. At its most basic core, a Warriors game is like a hack and slash, utilizing either one or a multitude of characters on the field. These games usually kind of serve as a way to show off the kind of potential held within a character by allowing them to grow in strength through level up to learn moves to add onto their arsenal. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? That's partially why I think this works, but here's where it differs. At its base, it is an action game, so when you start off, you usually start off with very basic combos. But the more you play, the more you level up, the more access you have to newer resources. Eventually, you would use these resources to level up one of your favorite characters that you like using the most, get even more stronger combos and techniques and things like that, and then you can just tear down waves of enemies in epic fashion. I don't know what it is, there's just something so invigorating and so empowering about taking down hundreds of different enemies coming at you at once. If you've ever played anything like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's something like that, but even more dramatic. Now, in the case of Nintendo at least, they utilize these games more so as like big what-if scenarios. Like I said, they've done this 4 times now. 2 of them are Fire Emblem games, and 2 of them are Legend of Zelda games. And for fair reason, they work in these situations. Fire Emblem Warriors and The Legend of Zelda are innately all about war. Whoa, hold on, I heard a couple of light bulbs go off. We'll get back to that in a minute, I promise. Now, I'm sure there's a couple of you guys asking right now, why in the world would I ever want a Pokemon game in this format? Now, rarely are there any series of games or IPs out there that couldn't have a solid spin-off series, no matter what genre it decides to tackle. Now, of course, there are some things that just work better than others, you know? I would be really shocked to see, like, a Metroid turn-based RPG or, like, an Earthbound fighting game. It's possible, but it's not what people are looking for. The thing about Pokemon is that it's easily the most diverse and flexible series in the world. There's really no debate on that. This is literally already proven by the multitudes of Pokemon spin-off games that already exist. It's precisely why we can have games like Pokken Tournament and Pokemon Cafe Mix in the same universe. So yeah, a Warriors game? Definitely not all that out there. Now, the concept. Most, if not all, Warriors games usually have a story that kind of revolves around some kind of a war. You remember what I said earlier about some of those light bulbs popping off? I know exactly what you guys were thinking. Hear me out. I don't think that anything could possibly be more fitting than a story focused around the war that was mentioned in Pokemon X and Y. Maybe a story possibly following AZ on his long journey to find his Floette, or whatever that Pokemon was, because I don't care for that Pokemon, I don't remember its name. Now, it's been a while since I've played X and Y, but I do recall very specific events in which we would see depictions of that war when it was described to us. All of that art of all of these different Pokemon wearing armor and enraged, ready to fight to the death. Now, of course, in the grand scheme of the Pokemon timeline, that war isn't really all that important. Whatever happened with that war doesn't matter because we know what we got now. People in Pokemon work together, they are friends, they are companions, and they live together in the same world. However though, like I said, most of these games usually end up being something like what-if scenarios. Any of the Hyrule Warriors games, any of the Fire Emblem Warriors games. It really is just a simple, what if it looked like this type of situation, and I'm sure a lot of you, like myself, are quite interested to see what could have possibly went down during that war so long ago. I would especially like to know how this man has lived over 100 or a couple thousands of years. There's gotta be an explanation for that. And so with that, we would have our general premise, and then the game just kind of starts. Usually you would just get thrown into some kind of tutorial to learn the basic combos. Of course, as Pokemon's mascot, we would be starting with Pikachu. Maybe we start off and we have to fight off like hordes of Rattata or Raticate or something like that. Of course, the game would go ahead and start teaching you things. First, regular combos, which is just the general combo to, get rid of a couple of enemies in your way. And then it would start teaching you how to combine those combos with strong attacks. For example, if I pressed Y back to back 3 times and then all of a sudden I hit X right afterwards, Pikachu would do a series of combos, maybe utilizing his tail, and then he would hit them with like a huge thunderbolt or something like that. And then I'd do it again. I would press Y 4 times this time and then hit X, and then I would hit like 100 of them at once with a crazy Volt Tackle. You see what I'm getting at here? Very simple, very standard, extremely easy to get into, and I feel like this would just be borderline perfect for the Pokemon series. Maybe throughout his journey, AZ is looking for these Pokemon to help him find and protect his Floette. So obviously, first he would meet this friendly Pikachu, and then on the next battlefield, you would run into a really friendly Gengar. After that, maybe a Dragonite, then a Gardevoir, then a Rhyhorn. The list could go on. And of course, because this is my story mode, I'm going to throw the Shinx to Luxray line in there. Eventually, we would have a wide variety of many different Pokemon from many different regions. Hell, it would be super easy to throw Hisuian Pokemon in there. Oh my goodness, Hisuian Zoroark would go crazy on that battlefield. Are you kidding? And like I mentioned earlier, usually these games have to earn some kind of collectible to use to make our characters stronger as opposed to just leveling up. In this case, it'd be like an array of berries and potions and all sorts of our usual items that we get from the Pokemon series. It just works out way too easy. I think that one of my favorite possible ideas from this concept is leveling up my Gengar and shooting the fattest Shadow Ball and eradicating hundreds in my wake. I don't know, I just think it'd be kinda cool. But hey, that's just me. Now, if we're being completely real here, I scripted this out about like 2-3 months ago or something like that, because at the time I was just so fed up, just so tired of mobile games, right? I'm just fed up with that, because I get it, right? From a business standpoint, it just makes sense to keep making mobile games and keep fleshing those out and getting as much money, as much dime as possible out of those. Why? Because they are much longer lasting than your average spin-off game. And I totally, completely understand that. But you guys know as well as I do that games like that are so mindless and completely lack of heart. I just want something genuine again. While it is super nice that we got a remake of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon like 3 years ago, I'm looking for something newer, more original. I love the concept that they had with Pokken, and then we just didn't see more stuff like that. This franchise gets more and more frustrating every day because they don't view us as anything more than dollar signs. So why should they care about how much creativity they put into a game when they could just make little nothings and get way more out of that? In a way, it's ironic because that applies to the entirety of the franchise, not just spin-off games, but you know what? We could sit and cry about it all day, or we can imagine. And I would like for you to take this mic and tell me what you're imagining. Do you like the concept of a Pokemon Warriors game? Do you think that you have a better concept for a different Pokemon spin-off game that would be even more excellent than that of a Warriors title? Let me know everything you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always, always, always down there with you guys. And with that, it does seem to be skedaddle o'clock, as it says on my watch, so I'm gonna go ahead and do just that. So, thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like, a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this. And with that, I'm Gonzo. Thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!